Hey everybody, this is John sitting with Dan. Welcome to another amazing edition of Dan's Models. I've got to come up with a different adjective every week, Dan.
Okay.
We're looking at actually one of my favorite types of cars. I remember when I was a kid, I had a Tyco train set that had a Burlington Northern Boxcar.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure it didn't look as good as this. As a matter of fact, I have it. There it is. Good old Tyco, Dan.
Uh-huh.
And by the way, yeah.
It's got plastic wheels and horn hook couplers and everything.
Oh, it's good. But what I was going to say about it is that this was one of my favorite boxcars. My other one is the Ralston Purina car.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've probably seen that too.
Yeah.
But
so this is John's Models.
yeah, right. No, but I've always liked these BN. I don't know if it's because I like the green or what.
Yeah.
But I did want to point out that stuff in the top there on the roof, that is not weathering. That's dust.
Yeah. That's actual dirt.
Yeah. Let's get back to a real model, please.
Okay.
So why don't you talk a little bit about your model and what you did to it, because it looks really good.
Oh, thank you. This is, I don't think I mentioned, it's an ExactRail car. This is an Evans 5277 single-door boxcar. And this is in their Evolution series, which means that it doesn't have quite as much detail out of the box as some of their cars.
Yeah, but it is ExactRail, though.
It is ExactRail, and
good.
it's a very good model, and it is prototypical. So I weathered it to moderately. Basically, I wanted it to look like a car that's in service, but not one that's decrepit.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of dusty, dirty, but not rusting yet. One thing I think is important is not to over-weather everything.
Yeah.
Because you can go overboard, and a lot of cars, it's good to have some variety. It's good to have some cars that are really weathered and some that are like moderately weathered, and then I think when the train's together, it looks more believable.
Yeah, I mean, I see real trains like that all the time.
Yeah,
and it's always most noticeable when you see some kind of a train, like a grain train or something that's all grain hoppers, and they're all new, right? But then there's this ugly duckling kind of in the middle. You're like, oh, what happened to that car?
I saw one like that not too long ago out in the Central Valley in California.
Yeah.
It was a BNSF train full of brand new BNSF hoppers.
Except for one, right?
Yeah, except for a couple. But they were all pretty much identical looking.
Uh-huh.
Brown with the Swoosh logo and white, and very shiny and new, and not tagged yet. And
yeah, don't get me started on tags.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, so I did add a little bit of detail to this car. I think it already had the Cadies on it. Most ExactRail cars do. But I did add a trainline air hose, which is a high-tech details part. There's the flexible rubber air hose.
Right.
Which are kind of nice because they don't break so easily.
Sure.
And I also added an uncoupling lever, and I think those might be Plano. It's a more modern style uncoupling lever and bracket. So I did add that. The crossover platforms on these cars are see-through, but they're not photo etched. They're like a plastic, but they're very finely done, so it looks really good.
It looks like a photo etched part from here.
Yeah. The other thing I did was on the other end.
Hey, you added a Fred.
I did. This is one of those Ring Engineering Freds that basically comes with a coupler and a replacement truck for one end.
Yeah.
And you just change out the truck and the coupler, and then you have a Fred on your car that actually works.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, they are pretty cool looking.
I think we had this on a episode a few weeks ago, didn't we?
We had a different one.
Yeah,
I had a pressure aid hopper. It was an Atlas car.
Yeah, I thought it was a hopper.
Yeah, I did a few of these when we were doing the run-bys for our HO weathering and detailing series on diesels, because we actually put some trains together and ran them on a club layout. So for some of the trains, I instead of a caboose, I have a Fred-equipped car. So
yeah, it's too bad
what I used.
We didn't really end up seeing the ends of any of the trains.
Yeah, I know. Maybe it was a waste of effort, but
well, except we'll be doing more of those DCC run-bys.
Yeah,
and maybe at that time we won't be focused on the locomotives as much, and we can do it like a regular run-by and show that.
Right. So anyway, yeah, these are pretty cool. I think I did have to do a little fiddling to get the coupler height to come out right because the new truck didn't quite make the car right at the right place.
Yeah. That's the problem with replacing trucks, though, right? Doesn't it always jack up or jack down the height like that?
It usually changes it, yeah, unless you get really lucky. And I mean, especially if it's a different brand. But in any case, it looks good, and it's not too hard to swap. So basically, this car is kind of like a caboose now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would have to be on the end, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I guess you could couple something to it, but it'd be in the middle of the train. So the other nice thing about them is that they just flash that there's nothing to control. It works on DC or DCC.
Just takes the power off the track. So
yeah,
there's no batteries to replace either.
No batteries, nothing. Just works. So until they come up with a little tiny mini Fred that you can just clip on the coupler like the real ones, this is probably the best we're going to get.
Somebody probably will at some point.
Yeah, maybe the tiny little batteries or something. I don't know.
Everything's getting smaller, though.
Yeah.
So, well, my stupid other car's crying now, so I'm going to put it in the picture so it can go away. Well,
so there's John's car.
It's happy now. It got to sit next to a real car. We'll catch you next week.
All right, see ya.